there is something called cursed energy, which is created by people's negative emotions such as anger, hatred, jealousy, and other dark thoughts. This cursed energy combines to form creatures known as cursed spirits. These cursed spirits are invisible to ordinary people, but jujutsu sorcerers can see them. These cursed spirits cause harm and chaos, indiscriminately attacking both innocent and guilty individuals. Jujutsu sorcerers not only have the ability to see these cursed spirits, but also possess various curse techniques to defeat them. The story begins with Yuji Itadori, a high school student who is exceptionally strong compared to others. However, despite his strength, Yuji chooses to be part of a peculiar group dedicated to researching supernatural phenomena rather than joining a sports team. During a ball throwing competition at his school, Yuji effortlessly wins against ordinary students. It's during this competition that he crosses paths with Megumi Fushiguro, a jujutsu sorcerer searching for a cursed object. Fushiguro senses the presence of this cursed object from Yuji and he follows Yuji for this cursed object. In the next scene, we see Yuji at the hospital where his grandfather is counting his last breaths. Yuji's grandfather has always been distant and stern, offering advice rather than warmth. However, just before his passing, Yuji's grandfather imparts some words of wisdom. He tells Yuji that he is strong and should use his strength to help the weak. This surprises Yuji, as his grandfather was usually distant and rarely interacted with anyone. Yet, in his final moments, his father emphasizes the importance of helping others, leaving a lasting impression on Yuji. Yuji's grandfather then peacefully passes away, and Yuji isn't particularly saddened by his death because his grandfather had lived a fulfilling life. However, Yuji continues to ponder his father's last piece of advice. Megumi Fushiguro arrives at the hospital, searching for Yuji and inquiring about the cursed object that Yuji had sensed earlier. This cursed object is actually one of Sukuna's fingers. Sukuna was a powerful sorcerer from thousands of years ago with 2 heads and 4 arms, making him incredibly dangerous. To prevent his revival, his 20 fingers, one of which was hidden within Yuji's school, were sealed away. Yuji had unwittingly found and taken this finger. Megumi asks Yuji for the finger, as it contains an immense amount of cursed energy that can attract other curses. However, the finger is sealed, meaning that as long as its wrapping remains intact, it won't emit any cursed energy. Yuji informs Megumi that he had entrusted the finger to his friends, who plan to unseal it today. Hearing this, Megumi is alarmed and warns Yuji that if the seal is broken, the cursed energy could harm his friends. Yuji becomes worried, thinking about the potential danger to his friends. As they head to the school, Megumi informs Yuji that he can sense the curses approaching due to the unsealing of the finger. Megumi tells Yuji to stay outside while he goes in. Along the way, Megumi uses his curse technique, 10 Shadows, to summon 2 divine dogs. These dogs are part of Megumi's curse technique, which allows him to summon 10 Shikigami. The divine dogs are tasked with taking care of the curses that are on their way to the school. Meanwhile, Yuji anxiously waits outside, concerned for his friend's safety. Just then, Yuji recalls his grandfather's words, which inspire him to make a decision. He resolves to help his friends and remembers the importance of using his strength for the weak. Megumi then locates the cursed spirit responsible for capturing Yuji's friends. Just as things become intense, Yuji bursts through a window and confronts the cursed spirit, eventually defeating it and saving his friends. Megumi explains to Yuji that these curses were drawn to the area because of Sukuna's finger. They seek to devour it, as doing so would grant them immense power. Sukuna's fingers are like magnets for curses, attracting them due to the allure of increased strength and abilities. This turn of events showcases Yuji's determination and the perilous nature of Sukuna's fingers, setting the stage for more intriguing developments in the story. Then another, even more formidable curse attacks Fushiguro and Yuji. In the heat of battle, Fushiguro sustains severe injuries. Yuji is on the verge of defeat when he remembers Fushiguro's warning about the power of the finger. With sheer determination, Yuji leaps into action, attempting to defeat the powerful curse. The curse, however, proves to be immensely strong, and Yuji is almost defeated. It's in this critical moment that Yuji recalls the wisdom Fushiguro shared, that whoever consumes Sukuna's finger gains incredible power. Driven by this knowledge, Yuji swallows the finger, and a surge of power courses through him. In one swift move, he manages to overpower and eliminate the curse. However, this comes at a cost, as Yuji's appearance drastically changes, and Sukuna, the ancient sorcerer, realizes that he's been resurrected in an individual's body. Sukuna initially believes he has control over Yuji's body, but to his astonishment, Yuji regains control and defies Sukuna's dominance. Both Fushiguro and Sukuna are left astounded by this turn of events. According to Jujutsu's laws, anyone who consumes curse energy must be killed. But the situation is unique because Sukuna's soul is within Yuji. Fushiguro decides to summon his most potent Shikigami. Gojo arrives, surprised to see Yuji alive after consuming Sukuna's finger. The stage is set for an intriguing and intense development in the story, as Sukuna and Yuji's extraordinary situation defies conventional understanding. Gojo, following the rules of Jujutsu, initially considers killing Yuji but has a different plan in mind. He wants to test whether Yuji can control Sukuna for 10 seconds. He instructs Yuji to switch with Sukuna for that brief period. When Yuji complies, Sukuna immediately attacks Gojo, but Gojo's incredible speed and power allow him to fend off the assault. After the 10 seconds are up, Yuji regains control over his body, a truly astonishing feat. Gojo then puts Yuji to sleep and tells Megumi that Yuji possesses an extraordinary ability. Yuji can control Sukuna to a certain extent, making him a unique and powerful individual. The next day, Gojo takes Yuji to Jujutsu High School, where he himself studied, and where Yuji will now receive his education to become a sorcerer. The higher-ups who manage the school initially order Yuji's execution upon learning of his connection to Sukuna. However, Gojo intervenes and explains the situation to them. Before Yuji can enroll in the school, Gojo presents him with two options. Either Yuji is executed immediately, or he consumes all of Sukuna's fingers, allowing Sukuna to be permanently exorcised from this world. Yuji, recalling his late grandfather's words, decides to accept the latter option. To gain admission to the school, Yuji must pass an interview with the principal. Despite facing many challenges, he successfully passes the interview and becomes a first-year student. There, he meets Megumi Fushiguro and Nobara Kugasaki. Nobara, who dreamt of leaving her rural hometown and coming to Tokyo, joins them. Gojo takes the trio to a cursed building where they are tasked with locating and eliminating a curse. Nobara had previous experience defeating curses in her village, but Yuji had only defeated one curse before, and he has no knowledge of his own curse technique. Gojo provides them with curse tools, items that can be used to combat curses. As they explore the building, they encounter a curse, and Yuji manages to defeat it. Nobara faces a curse as well, using her curse tool to engage in a battle and eventually triumph, saving a child held hostage by the curse. Nobara's heroic act earns her gratitude from Yuji. Sometime later, the assistant manager of Jujutsu School, Kiyotaka Jichi, assigns Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara a dangerous mission. This mission involves a special grade curse spirit, which possesses a tremendous amount of power. Curse spirits are classified into grades based on their strength. For instance, grade 4 spirits are relatively weak and can be easily defeated, while grade 1 spirits are significantly more powerful. However, within grade 1, some spirits are exceptionally strong and are categorized as special grade. Upon arriving at the mission site, Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara confront a special grade curse spirit. This spirit is extremely powerful and had consumed one of Sukuna's fingers. The curse had severely injured Megumi's divine dogs and even severed Yuji's hand, rendering Megumi unable to move. Suddenly, Nobara disappears into the ground and ends up in a bizarre, mask-filled environment, which presents an eerie and unsettling challenge. Megumi and Yuji quickly realize that they are facing a highly dangerous and cunning spirit. It becomes clear that this spirit is too formidable for them to defeat. In desperation, Yuji thinks about the possibility of Sukuna being able to defeat it with ease. Yuji asks Sukuna to come out, but Sukuna refuses, threatening to kill Yuji's friends if he does. Yuji instructs Megumi and Nobara to go outside and signal for Sukuna. They manage to find Nobara, rescue her using Megumi's Shikigami frog, and signal that they have reached the outside. Yuji then calls Sukuna out, and Sukuna devises a plan to make Megumi fight the special grade curse instead of killing it outright. However, the curse does not listen to Sukuna, which angers him. In a fit of rage, Sukuna kills the curse instead. During the battle, Sukuna also heals Yuji's hand by consuming the finger from the curse. However, this allows Sukuna to take control of Yuji's body, and he threatens to kill Megumi. In a desperate move, Megumi uses his 10 Shadows technique, which surprises Sukuna and makes him think that Megumi's techniques were powerful enough to defeat the special grade curse alone. However, Megumi had never used this technique before, and he knew it was risky. He had kept this Shikigami as a last resort because he was aware that it could potentially kill him as well. Megumi hesitates, and as he is about to unleash the Shikigami, he stops, realizing that he doesn't want to see good people die. He tells Yuji that he saved him because he didn't want to witness the deaths of innocent people, and that he won't regret his decision. Yuji understands Megumi's intentions and regains control over his body, but it's too late as Yuji's heart was removed during the confrontation. Yuji dies at that moment. Now, let's see what happens in Tokyo. In Tokyo, a peculiar individual is accompanied by 3 strange cursed spirits as they enter a restaurant. They discuss Sukuna's finger and their sinister plans to conquer the world and eliminate humans. To achieve their goals, they have 2 tasks at hand: removing Gojo from their path and gaining control over Sukuna. These cursed spirits are plotting for their domination. Meanwhile, Kiyotaka, the assistant manager at Jujutsu School, meets with Gojo and questions his reasons for becoming a teacher. Gojo explains that their higher-ups are corrupt and that if he were to eliminate Yuji, someone else equally corrupted would replace him. Therefore, Gojo focuses on training his students to ensure they follow the right path. Soon after, Dr. Shoko arrives to perform a post-mortem on Yuji. Sukuna unexpectedly heals Yuji's heart during this examination, restoring Yuji to life. Gojo is overjoyed to see Yuji alive, but is also concerned that the higher-ups will continue to target Yuji. To protect Yuji, Gojo proposes that Yuji remains officially deceased while he trains him. Gojo takes Yuji to a secluded location and begins teaching him how to control curse energy. Curse energy is typically derived from negative emotions, but Gojo instructs Yuji to maintain constant control over this energy by watching various movies that evoke different emotions. Yuji must keep his negative emotions agitated. To ensure Yuji's training, Gojo provides him with a cursed doll that will strike him if his energy wavers. While Yuji becomes immersed in his training, Gojo attends a meeting with the principal. However, during the way to go for meeting, he senses a special grade cursed spirit nearby. Gojo leaves the meeting abruptly and confronts the spirit, Jogu. Jogu is unusual because it can speak, a rarity among cursives. Jogu initially believes he can defeat Gojo because Gojo is with Yuji, whom he assumes is weak. However, Jogu underestimates Gojo, who easily defeats him and throws him into a river. Here, Gojo shares his knowledge of Jujutsu sorcery with Yuji and teaches him how to control curse energy. As their conversation progresses, Gojo informs Yuji that he has a hidden technique, the domain expansion, that he can use in battles. This technique creates a domain where the caster's power is significantly enhanced, making their attacks much more potent. Gojo demonstrates his domain expansion by temporarily removing his blindfold, showcasing the terrifying power it contains. The curse that was easily defeated by Gojo had its head separated from its body. However, Gojo chose not to kill the curse because he wanted to find out who had sent it. At this point, Geto and Hanami were observing Gojo's fight from a distance. Hanami and Geto were partners of Jogo. Hanami, who could create attacks from trees and flowers, created a distraction using trees, branches, and flowers, which temporarily distracted Gojo and Yuji. Hanami quickly removed Jogo's head and fled the scene. They all regrouped at their base and realized that they couldn't defeat Gojo in a direct confrontation. Geto suggested a plan to capture Gojo by imprisoning him in a cursed object, which would send him to a different dimension. However, to execute this plan, they needed to wait until October 31st. Gojo was surprised to see that the curses were cooperating with each other. Gojo then decided to train Yuji rigorously. Realizing that Gojo had not been informed Yuji about the Goodwill event, he wanted Yuji to work hard and surprise everyone at the event. Yuji underwent 2 months of intense training with Gojo, learning to control his curse energy. To test Yuji's strength and curse energy, Gojo assigns him a mission with Nanami, a grade 1 sorcerer. Gojo trusts Nanami's ability to evaluate Yuji's progress accurately. Now, Yuji continues to train diligently and prepares to participate in the Goodwill event, where he aims to astonish everyone with his newfound abilities. Now, let's see how Yuji and Nanami investigate a crime scene in a cinema hall. In this crime scene, 3 people were murdered and their bodies were completely mutilated. It was clear that a cursed spirit was involved in this crime. Later, Nanami discovers through CCTV footage that besides the 3 victims, there was another person present at the cinema hall. Nanami also observes that the cursed spirit intentionally left some clues behind to lure them. While following these clues, Nanami reaches Asua. Continuing from where they left off, they encounter Mahito, whose curse technique allows him to alter the shape and size of a person's body according to his will. Additionally, he can change his own body structure. Nanami, on the other hand, possesses the ability to pinpoint an opponent's weakest point and exploit it during combat. Nanami's technique is used to weaken and defeat opponents quickly. In a remarkable fight, both Mahito and Nanami are injured, and Nanami manages to escape after trapping Mahito under debris. In the next scene, Yuji meets a boy named Jinpei, who was present at the cinema when the 3 people were murdered. Jinpei was not saddened by their deaths, because those 3 individuals had been bullying him at school, making his life miserable. Jinpei and Yuji bond over their shared interest in movies, and they become good friends. Meanwhile, Mahito is scheming to create a situation where Yuji will willingly offer himself to Sukuna. Jinpei's mother arrives at this point and invites Yuji over for dinner. Meanwhile, Geto and Mahito devise a plan to capture Yuji. They aim to create a situation where Yuji will willingly hand over Sukuna. The next day, as per the plan, Mahito attacks Jinpei's mother with cursed spirits. Jinpei believes that his mother died because of that student and wants to seek revenge. However, Yuji tries to reason with him. In the midst of the confrontation, Mahito changes Jinpei's body using his curse technique. Yuji pleads with Sukuna to help Jinpei, but Sukuna refuses as they have already made a deal that Yuji cannot remember. After Jinpei's death, Yuji kills the cursed spirits to put Jinpei out of his misery. Yuji is furious and he engages in a fierce battle with Mahito. He unleashes a powerful curse technique that directly affects Mahito's soul. However, Mahito's attacks doesn't work effectively on Yuji because Yuji has 2 souls within him. Just when Mahito is about to be defeated, Nanami arrives and is amazed to see Yuji's strength. Mahito attempts to escape by expanding his domain, a powerful curse technique. He manages to capture Nanami but does not take Yuji inside the domain because he has 2 souls, making him unsure if his technique will work on Yuji. At that moment, Yuji forcibly breaks into Mahito's domain from the outside because inner part of domain is too strong but outer but is weak as compared to inner part of domain. Mahito then touches Sukuna's soul, which enrages Sukuna. Sukuna proceeds to destroy Mahito's domain. Mahito is left severely weakened and has no choice but to escape through the sewer route, which he does successfully. On the other side, Megumi and Nobara are preparing for the Goodwill event, an annual event between Kyoto and Tokyo Jujutsu high schools. Tokyo's team consists of Yuji, Megumi Fushiguro, Nobara, Maki Zenit, Panda and Toge. Their opponents from Kyoto are Maizanen, Tudu, Momo, Miva, Mekamaru and Kamo. However, Gojo brings an unusual box and Yuji emerges from it, surprising everyone. They expected to see him alive, but he's in disbelief that only 2 months have passed for him, while the outside world has moved forward. However, when Kyoto School's vice principal Gakaganji sees Yuji alive, he is not pleased. So he calls his students and orders them to kill Yuji during the upcoming exchange event, making it look like an accident. However, Tudu intervenes and refuses to follow the order. He tells Gakaganji that he will act according to his own will and not obey orders to kill Yuji. He proposes a team battle for the first day of the event where the team that defeats a 2nd grade curse will be declared the winner. In addition to low-level curses, the teams are allowed to fight and stop each other, but killing each other is prohibited. As the battle begins, the Tokyo team decides that Yuji will be responsible for dealing with Tudu. The other members of the team will focus on defeating curses. When Tudu and Yuji face off, Tudu asks Yuji a question about his preferences in women. This is the same question he had previously asked Megumi, and when Megumi's answer didn't satisfy him, Tudu had beaten him. However, Yuji responds that he prefers women with big butts and long legs. This answer amuses Tudu, and he starts considering Yuji his best friend. Nevertheless, Tudu realizes that they're still in the middle of a battle and attacks Yuji. Just as Tudu is about to make a move, the entire Kyoto School team arrives to confront Yuji. However, Tudu sends them away, telling them to focus on the other members of the Tokyo team and let him handle Yuji. Then, the Kyoto school students begin searching for and engaging with the rest of the Tokyo school students to defeat them. Todo continues to fight with Yuji, teaching him how to properly use his curse technique during their battle. On the other hand, Mecha Maru attacks Nobara, but Panda intervenes, saving Nobara. Panda transforms into his gorilla avatar and defeats Mecha Maru. Nobara then faces Momo, who remains in the air and out of her reach. However, Nobara cleverly uses her curse technique to defeat Momo. Meanwhile, from a distance, Nobara is attacked by Mai through rubber bullets but manages to win against the assailant. Maki defeats Miva with her curse technique, and Toge puts Miva to sleep by using his own curse technique. In another part of the battle, Megumi and Kamo engage in a fierce fight. Megumi summons his elephant and eagle Shikigami to confront Kamo, who suddenly faces another curse energy attack from Hanami. Hanami is a cursed spirit that had previously attacked Gojo and Yuji to save Jogo from Goju. Megumi, Kamo, and Toads join forces to fight Hanami, but the battle is intense. Meanwhile, Mahito has created a massive barrier, preventing anyone from entering or leaving except Gojo. Kamo, Megumi, and Toge, along with Hanami, are trapped inside. On the other hand, Maki tries to attack Hanami's first-grade cursed object, but this object doesn't harm Hanami much. Mahito had manipulated Hanami's presence to steal Sukuna's 6 fingers, while the fingers were hidden in a highly secret location known to only one elderly person. Geto had managed to find one of Sukuna's fingers hidden with Jinpei's mother. The higher-ups in Jujutsu had likely placed it there, and Geto had attached a tracker to it that was connected to Mahito, allowing him to track the location of the finger. Meanwhile, Hanami was systematically injuring everyone, and that's when Yuji and Todo made their entry. They urged the others to evacuate and took on Hanami together. Todo used his curse technique, which allowed him to swap positions with others, creating confusion and dealing significant damage to Hanami. During the fight, Yuji employed the Black Flash, a special technique that he used 4 times in a row for the first time. It was a remarkable feat, and Hanami was on the verge of defeat. Gojo managed to break through the barrier and immediately attacked the cursed spirit that was fighting Gakuganji, leaving him alive for interrogation. Additionally, Gojo employed the Purple Hollow technique, severely damaging Hanami, who managed to escape and reach Mahito. Mahito had successfully stolen Sukuna's fingers and 3 death paintings. Gojo now had strong reason to believe that there was an informant among them who was providing information to the curses. However, Todo convinced everyone to continue with the Goodwill event, and on the second day, they played baseball as suggested by Gojo. Yuji's impressive performance in the match secured a win for his team. Despite Gakuganji's initial desire to have Yuji killed, Yaga managed to persuade him to change his mind, and Gakuganji agreed to spare Yuji's life. Next week, Nobara, Megumi, and Yuji embark on a mission to a school where 4 people have died under mysterious circumstances. When they arrive at the school for investigation, Yuji and Nobara discover that Megumi had previously attended the same school, and many people still remember him. They learn that a haunted bridge lies a short distance from the school, and these recent deaths are linked to it. People have been found unconscious under the bridge, and a few weeks ago, strange incidents began happening, such as the lock to the school gate breaking. The team goes to the bridge in search of clues, but doesn't find much. They then encounter Fujinuma, Megumi's former classmate, who shares her own experience of coming to the bridge years ago. She reveals that she lost consciousness under the bridge, and that Megumi's sister was with her. Fujinuma has been feeling uneasy lately, with a broken lock at her home, and a sense that something is there. She believes that her sister, like Megumi's sister, will die soon. Upon hearing this, the ground beneath Megumi trembles, and he immediately contacts Jujutsu High to request assistance. Unfortunately, there are very few Jujutsu sorcerers available to help, so Megumi decides to face the cursed spirit under the bridge alone. However, Nobara and Yuji arrive just in time to support him. They encounter 2 curses, and after a fierce battle, they manage to bring one of them outside the bridge. The other curse, which is very powerful, continues to fight Megumi. Megumi considers using his most dangerous Shikigami, but remembers Sukuna's warning about using it sparingly. However, Megumi decides to unleash his domain expansion, a special ability, for the first time, despite it being relatively weak. This new power weakens the cursed spirit, allowing Megumi's divine dog to defeat it. While the curses had consumed Sukuna's fingers a while ago, the activation of Yuji's soul during the eating of one of the fingers provided them with extra power. The cursed spirits had not been defeated by other sorcerers, but Megumi's intervention finally saved his sister from the curse that had plagued her for so long. On the other hand, Nobara and Yuji were facing two cursed spirits, who are the death paintings. The death paintings are a unique type of curse, created by a scientist's experiment hundreds of years ago, with the special characteristic of being part human and part curse. In this case, they are two brothers who were created through this experiment. Mahito had stolen 3 death paintings out of the 9 that the scientist had initially created. These two brothers attacked Nobara and Yuji with poison-based abilities, leaving tattoo-like marks on their bodies. These curses believed that their victims would die within minutes due to the poison. However, Nobara used her technique to inflict pain on the younger brother, and Yuji, who has Sukuna's soul within him, was not affected by the poison. Then the spirit of Big Brother removed the poison for his brother, and Yuji and Nobara managed to defeat both of them. During this encounter, Yuji realized that he had taken the lives of 2 humans. One of the brothers was crying for his sibling's death, and this revelation had an impact on Yuji. Meanwhile, Megumi gave Yuji Sukuna's finger and told him to take care of it. But Sukuna consumed the finger right away. These events led to their reputation in the Jujutsu world, and Todo, Yuji, Nobara, and Megumi were recommended for first-grade status by Gojo, their teacher. Gojo also arranged for Panda and Maki to receive recommendations. This season ends with them excited and ready to take on their next mission, as Gojo calls to inform them about it. If you have any specific questions or need further information about this anime, feel free to ask. And if you need recap of any other anime, so comment down your favorite anime.